Hello. Let's talk a little bit about how you will prepare for class in Math 126. We want to make sure that you have all the tools you need to be successful in order to get the most out of class. Okay, when you prepare for class, in this class, the way that we have it set up is that to support the learning that you're going to do each day, you're going to engage with the content on a preliminary basis before each live class meeting. So as you can see in the modules in Canvas, for each section, we have a page called Prepare for Class. Inside that Prepare for Class page is all the resources you need to engage with before we actually meet as a class. Now, you might be wondering, well, why would I look at the material before coming to class? Isn't that what we're supposed to do in class? Well, yes and no. Here are some reasons why it's really important that we prepare for class by engaging with the content on a preliminary basis. First thing that this helps you with is that it allows you to follow the classroom activities and the classroom lesson better. If you already have some kind of knowledge about what we're going to learn for that day, then you kind of have an idea on some key words and some key concepts that you want to make sure you pay attention to when we hear them in class. It also allows you to ask better questions. If you engage with the content ahead of time, then you kind of have an idea on some things that you understand, but then things that you want further clarification on. That way you can make the most out of class time so you're actively learning and you're not just hearing it for the first time on a passive level during the lesson. So it will allow you to ask better questions and have your questions ready for me, your instructor, when you come to class. Another thing, and we all like to hear this, it's been shown that students' grades improve when they get a basic overview of the information before coming to class. So, hey, we can't argue that. And then also, it just helps you make connections to your prior knowledge. If you look at the material a little bit and engage with the material a little bit before coming to class, you're going to notice connections between things you've already learned and the things that we're learning new for that day. Okay? By engaging with the material before class, you're laying the foundation you need in order to gain a full understanding of the material so your class time isn't wasted during class. Okay, so the first thing you're going to notice when you open up one of these Prepare for Class pages is that you're going to be asked to complete the Be Prepared exercises in the online textbook. So each section begins with 2 or 3 Be Prepared exercises. And the purpose of these exercises, again, are to help you make a connection between your prior knowledge and the new content. So these Be Prepared exercises should be very, very comfortable, familiar questions. And they should be something you're confident in doing. You should have confidence when you're doing these. And so it allows you to understand that, hey, I know the foundational skills, so now I'm ready to learn the new stuff. So here's what it might look like in your notebook. So before you come to class, you will already have completed these Be Prepared exercises. Then there will be a slideshow for you to work through. So the slideshow contains activities for you to engage with the material on a preliminary basis. Now, while you're taking notes on the slideshow, you can either use the template that's provided for you in Canvas, or if you have your own way to organize your notes, that's fine. You can do that too in your notebook. Most of the slides are animated. So as you work through the slideshow, you'll be prompted to do the next step of a problem, or you might be prompted to fill in a blank, or you might be prompted to watch a video, a short video tutorial on a certain topic. That's when you want to actively engage with the material and actively take notes. Okay, so here's what it means to actively take notes. You want to write your own explanation of what something means. So you're not just copying down a definition word for word. You also want to make connections between something that you already know. So if we're learning a new skill, you always want to see if there's a way where you can kind of connect it to something that you already know how to do. So it seems familiar and so you have confidence. You also want to formulate your own questions and try to look for your own answers. And if you can't answer them, save them for class, and then we'll go over them in class. Remember, when you're taking notes in your notebook, you're creating a resource that's going to be useful to you in the future. It's going to be useful to you during class. It's going to be useful to you during future math classes. And also, spoiler alert, you can use it on the exams and the quizzes. So if that's not a good enough reason, I don't know what is. Okay, so again, let's look at a sample of some notes that you'll take as you actively engage with the content presented in the slideshow. So the template provides a 2-column format for you. So if you like the 2-column format, great. On the left-hand column, you're going to write down key points and questions. And then on the right-hand column, you're going to write those details. So I have a sample of notes here for a particular section. So this is the first page of what the notes look like. So notice how this student wrote a question down. They have a question that they want to engage with. And then over here under the details, they've kind of given some examples to help them answer that question. Now, your notes might take more than one page. So here's an example of page 2. Here's a 3rd page. Here's a 4th page. And here might be the 5th and final page. Notice on the last page of your notes, you leave a space at the bottom for summary and any key takeaways. This kind of helps you wrap up the material in your head, and it gives you some closure on what did you really learn? What was the most important thing you took away from it? And the amount of notes you take and the amount of pages that it takes up in your notebook, it just depends on the section. Some sections might be 2 pages of notes, some might be 5 like this, but 2 to 5 pages is a good range. Oh, and did I mention you can use your notes on the exams and quizzes, so make them useful. If you have 5 pages of notes that aren't useful, then that doesn't help you on the quiz or the exam. So remember, when you're taking your notes, you're creating a resource that's going to be very, very helpful in the future. It's like putting money in the bank. You put it in the bank today, but down the line, after you earn interest, that money is more powerful. Okay, our first 10 lessons in this class are called the math interludes. We'll talk more about what math interludes are in class. Basically, they're 10 foundational skills that we really, really need to have a deep understanding with before we can move on and learn all the new and exciting stuff in Math 126. We'll still follow our 4 Ps routine, but the prepare for class page looks a little bit different when we're on those first 10 math interludes topics. So you'll notice the setup in the Canvas modules. We still see the prepare for class and the prepare for class, but notice the topics: order of operations, fraction operations, evaluating algebraic expressions. I'm sure you've seen those topics before somewhere. So it's not going to be brand new topics, but they're topics that we really need a good grasp of so we can flourish and succeed as we start to learn the new stuff for Math 126. So here's what a prepare for class page might look like in our math interludes. So you'll notice there's not a Google slideshow for these because, again, I figured for these topics, you already have a good working knowledge of them. You might just need to fine tune some things. So you'll see that there are some online lessons for you to look through, and again, actively engage with them, actively take notes while you look at the examples in the online lessons. And then there's some quick video tutorials. Keep in mind, the videos I post, I try to keep it at a maximum of 6 minutes for video tutorials. This one might be a little longer because it's an orientation, but the short concept videos, I try to keep them within 6 minutes just so you can learn one concept and then close the video and then move on to another concept if you need to. Remember, you can always use the notes template or you can create your own in your notebook. Okay, there is a reference sheet and rubric that kind of is going to walk you through how to set up your notes and also gives you a model for how you should be modeling your notes if you're not sure. You might have never had a class where you've been expected to engage with the material before coming to class. So you might not be sure how to set this up. So in that document, again, it talks about what it means to actively engage. You're writing out your own explanations. You're making connections to something you already know, and you're looking for answers to the questions that you come up with. So the teacher shouldn't be the only one to pose questions. You should pose your own question. So instead of being the passive learner who just sits and stares at the screen, what you want to do is you want to engage. Well, what happens if I try this? Or I wonder if there's another way I could solve this problem. Okay, so those are things you want to think about as you're working through the material. Okay, here is some more samples of notes. Notice the 2-column format, key points and questions on the left side, detailed examples on the right side. This was just a 2-page notes. So instead of 5 pages like the one you saw before, this one we were able to do it in 2 pages. And again, we have the summary at the bottom. Okay. And here's the scoring rubric. So each time you upload your notes, you have a possible of 50 points, okay? You wanna make sure that you are up here in the 50-point criteria. You can also earn 40, 30, or 0 points, but we hope nobody is down there. So you want to aim for the 50 range always, maybe 40, but try to aim for the 50 range. That way you're getting the most out of the material, and then you'll be able to fully engage during class. Okay, if you think you need more examples before we start class or after class, let's say you just want to see a few more examples, you can always use the online textbook. So you'll notice the online textbook has a link in the left-hand navigation bar in Canvas. When you click on that, that will bring you to our online textbook. The table of contents is always on the left, so you can find any section that we're working on. You can type something in the search. If you just know that you need help with graphing a parabola, you can go ahead and type it right there. And what's really nice about the online textbook is you can make your own highlights, and your highlights will be saved in your version of the textbook. So you can always go back and look at something if you need to. Okay. So again, when you're done with your notes for the prepare for class activity, you will upload them, and they will be due before class time starts. Again, that's just to make sure that you're engaging with the content on a preliminary basis before we come to class, so you can make the most out of class time. So you'll notice as you follow the sequence in the modules, there's a place for you to upload your work. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this slideshow. I look forward to answering more of your questions as the course goes on.